Hi guys, so this video here is taken from a full course on building a track from scratch in Logic. You'll be able to watch all of the Logic related videos for the course on YouTube. There will be a link to the playlist below for you. But in this course, we're basically building this whole track from scratch. If you want to follow along with that, you can. And if you want to download the project file and all the samples that go with the course, there's a link to that in the description as well. I hope this video is useful to you and that you're able to follow along with the course. Let's jump into it.
Feeling heavy, but now I'm steady, going up from hitting the ground.
Okay, so we left off the last part with our drum break, which was this. And we built a bus for it, and that's as far as we really got. We've named everything, but we do want to get it all colored as well. So something I'm going to do here is highlight all of my snares. To bring the color palette up, we press Option C, and I'm going to color everything within the same sort of range. So I'll do it like within the orange usually, or maybe the yellow for drums. I'm going to go orange for this lot. So snares are going to be that. The kick drums, we're going to highlight all of those in a slightly different orange. The tops, we're going to stick to probably the yellow. So we'll bring that in there as well, and that just gets those colored nicely. Now our track colors and our mixer are completely different, so something to do here is just hold shift on here, select all of these. If we go into functions, we are going to color track by region color, and now our mixer will match as well. So we've got a nice little 4-bar drum loop going. We're just going to copy that, make it an 8-bar. That's going to start to build up our sort of intro. I think we're going to have like maybe 8 bars of drums, look to maybe fade them out, bring a melody in. We'll build this up as we go and decide what we're going to do. I'm only going to bring in one significant little change with the cymbals. I'm going to click on the drummer on the second section, double click to bring up this. I'm going to just change that cymbal rhythm just like that. So we've got this. And I'm going to get rid of that second crash as well and just let it be a full little 8-bar break. So I think we need a little something to start maybe building up the track idea. And I'm thinking an arpeggio maybe that we can use later. So what we're going to use for that, I think, is we'll use Sculptor. So if we add a new track in, I'm going to go into Software Instrument. We'll go to the Sculptor Modeling Sync. And we'll just take the stereo version. Definitely not working in 5.1 for this. Bring that in. What we'll do, let's have a look at what we've got in pads. Find a sound we like. Cool. So I kind of like this sound. It's not exactly what I was sort of vibing with, but just going to play a couple of notes of F sharp and we're going to tweak it a little bit. So I'm just going to record that in. Now the first note came up really, really quiet. So what we can do to fix that without re-recording, open up the piano roll by double clicking. Once we've got the piano roll selected, we can press T and V and we can just bring that velocity up a little bit. Now I started about 1 bar in. I'm actually going to bring it back so it starts right on the beat. Now, Sculptor's a pretty in-depth synth. You could get lost in it for hours. There are some fundamental things we can do with it though. Like we can link it up to key scale and things like we can put key scale on here, for example. And in the middle here is like the material, right? So you kind of got nylon, wood, glass, how intense it's being hit. That's going to be your big sound changer. Now over here on the left, you've got the different pickups and kind of how it's going to determine what sound it makes from this central section. This little section just here, you've got a pretty standard ADSR, although you've got a mid split on the ADSR, so it gives a range that it can start amongst. I'm going to just make it a slightly longer startup. Actually, scrap. Yeah, we want a slower startup. I want a longer decay time. And we're going to feed it back a bit more. That's just going to be a little tone set in the background. And instead of tweaking it all in here, I am just going to be very lazy, put an EQ on the bottom here because there's a bunch of low end we don't need again. Like that. Okay, let's try and get something a little bit more musical in. Let's have an instance of alchemy and let's see if we can find sort of a bell sound to go with this. Okay, I kind of like this crystal bell sound. Okay, I'm just going to play a melody in a few times until I can find something that I like and vibe with. And then we'll look at working that in the piano roll and getting it into being something that I quite like that we can use. What I'll do is I'll just make a loop and I'll just keep recording until I find something I like. So we've recorded this in the piano roll. There's a few ideas in here. My timing was off in places, but it kind of works. What I'm going to use is just make sure I double tap T because I'm still on velocity control. And I'm going to hit Command A here in the piano roll. And I'm going to use the strength control to quantize. And when I start adjusting it, it will snap everything. My timing was okay in some places. I don't want to make it ruthlessly on point. So I'm going to bring it to about 80. And I'm just going to have a listen through and just maybe take some of the best moments in here. So that end section here, I kind of like. If we just drag this back, I think it was from about here. We started like that. Now everything happens a little bit quickly, so what I'm going to do is bring this back to here, bring this one back to here. Let's see how that rolls instead. This note can happen a bit later. And perhaps we could lead off with the F sharp. Bring this one forward again. this here. Bring this to about here. We can actually have that pause there quite happily. And I think here we can actually move our very odd sounding sculptor patch off. So it's going to play in these paused sections here. Now this bell tone, what is kind of nice, it is pretty harsh for me. So I'm going to bring it down a fair bit on the filter. Now there's an automation control on the filter, so we can dial it back this way. Same with the resonance. Now, when this pad, the sculpture sound, isn't occurring now, I'm actually going to get rid of it in these sections here. Just have it on those blanks. It's got that kind of weird tone to it, but I kind of like what it gives. Okay, we're going to make this whole thing a 16 bar intro now. I'm just going to copy the whole lot out. What I'm going to look to do here is just automate this bell tone so it builds up in the track. And the way we're going to do it, we're going to automate this control here. And pretty simple to do. Easiest way to find these things is to switch automation on by tapping A, and we're going to change the volume and we're going to change the automation type just a touch. I'm going to hit play and just move the control. I'm going to have to set the cutoff. Now, because we're already on touch here, we can see we've already now got a parameter. We can switch this off of touch. We get this little drop down arrow here. We'll be able to see our cutoff filter. Now, with our tools at the top here, I'm going to change the marquee tool into the pencil tool, and I'll now be able to draw the automation in that I'm after. And we just have something really linear just to test it out. Drag it down even further. So that's still too harsh for me. I'm going to bring it right down to about 1K. I'm going to hit T and W and put a little bit of a curve in. Just listen back to that quickly. All right, so we've started to build up an intro here. One thing I'm going to do now is just build a very quick noise sweep, just so we can move out of the drums. We're going to have a nice long build up, going to introduce some chords and things like that in the third section. But let's do our noise sweep first while we're here. So let's hit plus. I'm going to use alchemy for my noise sweeps. I pretty much always do. First thing I'm going to do is close it away like that. Use the pencil tool. I'm going to introduce a long note like this. I'm going to have it highlighted. Press U so it loops around it. And we want to add one long note. Tend to just do it off of C that covers the length of that whole 4-bar section there, like that. So we'll just have this really weird scenario. Cool, so it's wildly off key. Now we're going to load up alchemy so we can see it. We go to File, Initialize Preset. It should just be a saw wave now. where it says A over here, just under global, we're going to click on that. We're going to disable the saw wave, and we're going to go over to noise over here, switch that on. And we're going to have white noise enabled. Low cut, we're going to bring up to about 140 to 200 hertz, depending on what we've got. I think in this case, it's about 200-ish. We now need to switch the oscillator back on, and we'll just have this horrible white noise burst. Okay, so there's a couple of things we're going to control. We're going to do the same trick with automation. We're going to change read over here just to touch. I'm going to move cutoff, resonance, and drive. And we'll switch that back over to read. And now when we go to automation on here, we're going to have 3 controls available to us. Using these 3 controls, we can usually build a pretty nice noise sweep. Now the filter cutoff, I'm going to use that to control any level coming through. We probably don't want it to start creeping in until here-ish, but if we want to have it a bit earlier, we've got the note there to control it. And we know because we put the filter in that it's not going to start really coming in until about 200 hertz. So we can just gradually creep that up like that. Now I use a little bit of drive quite often just at the end, just to push it a little bit further. And the resonance can work quite nicely if we bump it up like this, bring it back out, and go right up and bring it down really quickly. So we're just kind of riding it. It's not always going to work, depends what kind of sweep we want to build, but we'll test this out. Cool, so it's a bit extreme on the resonance there, so we just curve that off a touch. And we're going to flatten that out a bit more and then really creep it up just here. Have it so it starts coming in a little bit sooner. Fab. And we don't want it just to drop dead as well. So we're going to bring alchemy back up, and we'll go to effects. We just switch effects on, and we'll just use the delay built into alchemy. We don't want it to be too intense, so sort of like 30 or 40 on here. Definitely have it synced up. The rate 1/4 is okay, 1/8 maybe, depending on what we are going to go into, but we'll leave it on 1/8 for now, and we'll just let the loop go slightly over. Have a little something like that. So I think that wraps us up for section 2. So let's move on to section 3, and we'll look to start building some chords and really setting the musical tone to go into the main track.